So this is very important. Kristen Modafferi, on the day she disappeared, we got to turn the clock back 24 years, back to 1997. It was in the middle of summer. It was June 23rd, 1997, and Kristen was spending the summer out in the Bay Area, and she had gotten an apartment right. This is Lake Merritt in Oakland, so she was living like right about there. But she secured a job at the Spinelli's Coffee at the Crocker Galleria. You take the BART right over here. It's about 15, 20 minutes, I think. And right in here is where Kristen found work. And so she would work from 7 to 3, and then from 3 to midnight, she would just become a tourist, and she would hit all the tourist spots in San Francisco and just enjoying life. Well, the other reason she was out in San Francisco, she was building towards her degree back in North Carolina, and she took some classes at Berkeley that North Carolina State would accept the credits. So you got to keep the timeline in mind. She arrives on June 1st. On June 24th, her summer school starts. So basically between summer school and her part-time employment, she didn't have any time left for being a tourist. So she had to pack all her tourism entertainment into the first 23 days. And she did a lot in those 23 days. But on the 23rd, she was at work. And she says to her coworkers, "Tonight's my last night of freedom. What should I do?" And they were bouncing ideas off on her. And one of the things they recommended her to go out to the beach. But she goes, "I've already been there, but it was nice." And she said, "If I do decide to go to the beach, how do I get out there?" And so this is what I want to show you. Let's scroll in here. They told her to walk out the street in front of them, which was Kearny Street, walk up to Gary Boulevard. It's about 4 or 5 blocks at the most, maybe 3 blocks, and take the number 8 bus right here. You take the number 8 bus. It would take you from where Kristen worked all the way out, about 6 miles, out to Land's End Beach. And this is one of the scenes you could see out there. And I want to scroll in here. You see this tunnel here? Kristen's scent was detected right around here. So many people theorize that maybe Kristen accidentally fell into the water. I don't think that happened, and I'll get into that why later. But for now, the important thing is just know, this is really important as I scroll in. Okay, here's the Crocker Galleria. Kristen walked out. She would have walked down to this bus stop right here and waited. So now she's missing. The Modafferis notified the police department. One of the first things the cops do, Sergeant Bradley and Officer Pat Mahaney, they grab the bloodhounds, and they do in fact picked up Kristen's scent here, and they put the dogs, because they told us she was probably going out to the beach. That's what they assumed. So they put the dogs in their patrol car, and they drove all the way out the 6 miles to Land's End Beach. And like I say, that's where they picked up Kristen's scent right here. So the going theory was Kristen made it out to the beach. But the problem was, this is June 23rd. 2 days earlier was summer solstice, June 21st. It's when the sun is at the zenith. And it's really bright out till like 9:30, 10 o'clock at night on that one day. Well, that's an excuse for a party. And all the young people in San Francisco, they would migrate out to the beach, and they would build bonfires along the beach, bring out beer or bottles of wine. They would just have a nice party out there. And Kristen was out at the party that night. So I think her scent was from that party, not so much this event here. But let me show you something that the police did not know at the time. It's real important. It's very, very important. Let me scroll in further. And if you talk to Sergeant Bradley, he wishes he had known about this. Remember, Kristen had been missing a couple of days yet. There were no suspects that had bubbled up to the surface yet. So the police were working totally blind at this time. But what they didn't know, if they didn't put the dogs in the car and drive out to the beach, if they just let the dogs follow their way, as you know by now, there's a suspect by the name of John Onuma. He's been on America's Most Wanted, and he's never been arrested in this case, so I got to say that. But I do know he was the center of their investigation for a long time. But look where John Onuma lived, right there. It's only about, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 blocks away. Maybe the dogs were following the scent right here. So this is in 1997. Look what happened in June 5th, I believe it was, of 2012, 15 years later. John Onuma was living with a woman by the name of Jill Lampo at the time. Jill Lempo had a nervous breakdown, and she calls her uncle, and she confides to her uncle, who he took notes. On the left here, these are the notes. It's a little hard to read, so just to make it easier, I took the important pull quote out, and I put it right here. This is Jill Lempo's uncle in his own notes while he's on the phone with Jill. He says, she got involved with a controlling man who convinced her to assist in an unspeakable kidnap and murder. This is Jill Lempo, the girlfriend of the prime suspect. Going back to the map, maybe this was the key. Maybe the detectives could have found this out in the first couple of days of the case. We don't know if that's true, but it's really an important possibility.